We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Dalet Amud Beis in Meseches Kiddushin. This is Kiddushin Daf 54b. On the previous summer, there was a contradiction within Rabbi Yehuda. Is there Me'ilah by the stones of the walls of Yerushalayim? And the Gemara now answers, Trei Tanoim Ninu. It's actually Machlokas Tanoim V'aliba de Rabbi Yehuda. Within Rabbi Yehuda, in other words, there are some Tanoim who say that according to Rabbi Yehuda, there is Kedusha and there is Me'ilah, and there's another Shita within Rabbi Yehuda that there is not. Rashi explains, Trei Tanoim V'aliba de Rabbi Yehuda, Ikol Amanda Amar Yerushalayim Mikdasha Kehektish. There is one that holds, according within Rabbi Yehuda, that Yerushalayim does have that Kedusha like Hektish. Shem Yitol Me'avnei Achoma Livnos Bebeis Omal, that if you take from the stones of the wall to build, let's say, to his own house, that would be Me'ilah. V'ikol Amanda Amar Lo Mikdasha, but there's another Mandamar that says the stones do not have that Kedusha, and therefore it's not Me'ilah, so it would be a Machlokas within the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara continues, Amar Ula Mishmei de Bar Pada. Ula says in the name of Bar Pada, Omer Hoyer Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says, Hekdish b'mezid mischalel, b'shogeg ein mischalel. When it comes to Hekdish, if you use it b'mezid, so then again it's mischalel, it goes l'chulin, but b'shogeg it doesn't go l'chulin. V'lo amru b'shogeg mischalel, and they only said that by shogeg it goes l'chulin, that's only ela le'inyan korban bilvad. That's only in terms of bringing a korban. You do have to bring a korban for the me'ilah, but it does not go l'chulin. And the Gemara says, but 1 second, if it doesn't go l'chulin, korban b'may mechayiv. Why is he chayiv to bring a korban at all? And so the Gemara instead says, Ella, rather, what it means is as follows. Ki asa Ravin parish mishmei de Bar Pada. When Ravin came, he explained in the name of Bar Pada. The real sheet of Rabbi Meir is as follows. Omer Hoyer Rabbi Meir hekdish b'mezid mischalel b'shogeg ein mischalel. Rabbi Meir says that by hekdish, if a person uses it on purpose, so then again it's mischalel, it goes l'chulin, b'shogeg it doesn't go l'chulin. V'lo amru b'shogeg mischalel ela le'inyan achila bilvad. They only say that b'shogeg it goes l'chulin, that's by achila, meaning to say, similar to what we said before, earlier on the previous daf, Rashi explained this as well on the previous daf, the idea that when it comes to b'shogeg by me'ilah, so let's say you have the food of hekdish and you eat the food of hekdish b'shogeg, that is me'ilah. But if you have the money of hekdish and you spend that money b'shogeg, that is not going to be considered me'ilah, and it's not going to go l'chulin. That's the distinction. That's why we're saying b'shogeg is mischalel only le'inyan achila, but in terms of spending the money of hekdish b'shogeg, it's not going to go l'chulin according to Rabbi Meir. And Rashi explains, Bar Pada poligad Rav. Bar Pada is arguing on Rav, who svira like Rabbi Yochanan, and instead holds like Rabbi Yochanan. Again, Rav was on the previous Amud, and Rabbi Yochanan was on the previous Daf. And he holds like Rabbi Yochanan. The time of Rabbi Meir b'masnis, and that the reason of Rabbi Meir in the Mishnah why it's not a good Kiddushin if you use the money of Hektish b'shogeg for Kiddushin, mishum dekasavar ein Hektish mischalel b'shogeg, because he holds that Hektish doesn't go l'chulin when you use b'shogeg. The mekach tos hu lo nicholei den eschal Hektish al yadi, because the whole thing is a mekach tos. The person doesn't want that the Hektish should go l'chulin, and therefore it's not a good Kiddushin, and it doesn't go l'chulin. And Rashi continues, V'lo amru b'shogeg mischalel. They only said that if it's b'shogeg it goes l'chulin. Kolomar lo ksib b'torah mischalel shetzarich korban me'ilah. In the first version, understanding of Bar Pada, the idea is that it's not mischalel. However, you do need to bring the korban me'ilah. Aval hamos kol makom sheholchos hektishem. But the money, wherever they go, they still remain hektish. The Gemara said that doesn't make any sense. If the money is still hektish, why you bring a korban me'ilah? And so instead, the Gemara revised it, and really Bar Pada means to say as follows, according to Rabbi Meir, le'inyan achila, meaning ha'ochel kikar shel hektish. If a person eats, let's say, a loaf of bread of hektish, the azalei hektish, so then already the whole thing has been consumed. Vu'adin lahadlakas ner, let's say you burn a fire, you burn a candle of hektish, ulachol hano, any kind of hano like that. Aval hotzoas mos hektish. However, the point is, if you spend the money of hektish b'shogeg, so there ain't bohem me'ilah, there is no me'ilah de lo nafki merishos hektish. The money never actually leaves the Rosh of Hektish, as we said. The person doesn't want that the money should be nischalel through him, and so therefore it doesn't leave Hektish, and it's not going to be considered Me'ilah, according to Rabbi Meir. Again, that's consistent with Rabbi Yochanan's understanding of Rabbi Meir, as opposed to Rav's understanding of Rabbi Meir. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Avad bar Ava. Rav Nachman says that Avad bar Ava says, Halacha ka Rabbi Meir b'maiser. The halacha is like Rabbi Meir when it comes to Maiser Sheni. We said according to Rabbi Meir, if a person uses Maiser Sheni for Kiddushin, it's not going to be a good Kiddushin because Maiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa. And here Rav Nachman is saying from Avad bar Ava, the halacha is like that, the Maiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa. Hoel v'sasam lantana kivase. Because we find the Stam Mishnah, we find that the Tana of the Mishnah Stam goes like Rabbi Meir. And furthermore, v'halachik Rabbi Yehuda behektish. The halach is like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to hektish. Ho'el v'sasam lon tana kavase, because we find the Stam Mishnah that supports Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to hektish. And Rashi explains again, b'maiser de mammon gavoahu. When it comes to Rabbi Meir's shita by maiser sheni, that's mammon gavoa. That's why it's not a good kiddushin. And Rabbi Yehuda behektish. What did Rabbi Yehuda say again by hektish? To shogeg mischalel v'lo mezid. He said that by shogeg, if you use the hektish b'shogeg, let's say for kiddushin, it is mischalel and it is a good kiddushin. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda with regards to that, again because the Stam Mishnah follows Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Meir b'maiser mahi. Where do we find the Stam Mishnah that goes like Rabbi Meir when it comes to maiser sheni? The maiser sheni is mammon gavoa. Tetanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, kerem revoy, when it comes to the fourth year produce from the kerem, from the vineyard, Beis Shammai omrim ein lo chomesh. Beis Shammai say there's no din of a chomesh. Generally by maiser sheni, when you redeem your own maiser sheni, you have to pay an added fifth. Beis Shammai say that doesn't apply by kerem revoy, even though generally speaking kerem revoy is like maiser sheni. It's something that you have to bring to Yerushalayim to eat. But if you redeem it, you don't have to pay the fifth according to Beis Shammai. Ve'ein lo biur, and furthermore, according to Beis Shammai, there is no din of biur when it comes to kerem revoy. By other maisers, there's a concept of biur. You have to get rid of all your obligations of maiser at a certain point in time. That does not apply to kerem revoy. Beis Hillel omer, Beis Hillel say yeshlo. Beis Hillel say there is a din of chomesh, and there is also a din of biur according to Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai omer and Beis Shammai say yeshlo peret v'yeshlo olalos. When it comes to kerem ravoy, there's halacha peret and olalos. That's to leave it over for the poor. Beis Hillel omer and Beis Hillel say it's not true. Kula lagas. All of it is able to go to the wine press. And Rashi explains, Ein lo chomesh, there's no halacha of a fifth when it comes to kerem ravoy, according to Beis Shammai. Hamechalel peiros of lahalos adam l'Yerushalayim, meaning someone's redeeming the kerem ravoy in order to bring the money to Yerushalayim. Ein tzarich los of chomesh v'afilo bailov, even the owner does not need to add a fifth. And ein lo biur, there's also no halacha of biur according to Beis Shammai, meaning b'shana shlishis v'shishis shel shmita, in the third and sixth year of the shmita cycle, sha'maisros misbarim min abayis. At that time, you're supposed to remove all meiser from the house. Sha'aser la'ashos on yoster, you can't keep it there longer than that. K'dichsiv ki sachala la'aser, like it says in the pasuk. And then Beis Hillel say yeshlo, Beis Hillel say no, there is a halacha of chomesh, there is a halacha of biur, kediyolef l'kamon, as they'll learn out later on. And Rashi continues, according to Beis Shammai, yeshlo din peret v'yeshlo din olalos, there's a halacha of peret and olalos when it comes to kerem ravoy, according to Beis Shammai. The karmecha karina bay, the point is it's called your kerem, v'ha'aniyim ochlin osan b'Yerushalayim, and since there's a halacha peret and olalos, so the aniyim, they'll take it, and they'll eat it in Yerushalayim, opodin osan u'malin domain, or they'll redeem it, and they'll bring up the money, meaning to say it still has a halacha of kerem ravoy, but there's a halacha peret and olos. You have to leave it. You have to leave certain portions for the poor. And kulo lagas, but Beis Hillel say no, all of it can go to the wine press. To kasavri kulo mammon gavoahu. The point is that Beis Hillel hold it's all considered mammon gavoa, kemaiser sheni, like maiser sheni. The yolef minei, it's learned from maiser sheni kedemefarish v'yazil v'lo karina be karmecha. It's not called karmecha, so there's no din of peret and olalos. And Rashi explains peret. What's peret? Hanosher b'shas betzira. That's the stuff that's left over at the time you're harvesting the grapes. Uchsivu peret karmecha lo slaket. It says you shouldn't collect that. You should leave it for the poor. And olalos eshkol she'en lo psigin ela achas hikula. Let's say you have olalos, which means to say that you have a cluster, and that cluster is not completely formed. To that also, a person is supposed to leave for the poor. And so again, it's a machlokus when it comes to kerem ravoy. Are there these halachas of peret and olalos? And Beis Shammai again say there is halacha peret and olalos, and Beis Hillel say there is no such halacha. And the Gemara continues, my time at the Beis Hillel, what's the reason of Beis Hillel? Why do Beis Hillel say that when it comes to kerem ravoy, there is a halacha of chomesh and there's a halacha of biur? Gamri kodesh mi meiser, the reason is that they learn a gzera shava, kodesh from meiser sheni. It says kodesh by kerem ravoy, and it says kodesh by meiser sheni. Ma meiser yesh lo chomesh v'yesh lo biur. Just like by meiser sheni, there's a halacha of chomesh and there's a halacha of biur. Af kerem ravoy yesh lo chomesh v'yesh lo biur. So too when it comes to kerem ravoy, there's a halacha of chomesh and there's a halacha of biur. Beis Shammai lo gamri kodesh mi meiser, and Beis Shammai they don't hold the gzera shava of kodesh from meiser sheni. Beis Hillel omrim k'maiser, and so the Gemara now says, now if Beis Hillel say that Keren Ravoy is considered to be like Meiser Sheni, so then Keman Svirlu, so who do they hold like in terms of the second halacha? Beis Hillel said that there's no peret and there's no olalos, it all goes to the wine press. Ika Reb Yehuda, now if they held like Reb Yehuda, Amai Kulo Lagas, why would it all go to the wine press? Ha'amr Meiser Mammon Hedyidu, but Reb Yehuda is the one that says that Meiser Sheni is considered like Mammon Hedyid. It's just like any other money that a person owns. It's not considered like Mammon Gavoa, and so therefore there should be a halacha of peret and olalos. Elalav Rabbi Meir. So rather, what is it not? Isn't it true that really Beis Hillel they hold like Rabbi Meir, meaning to say they hold like Rabbi Meir that Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa, and since Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa, that's why Beis Hillel say that there's no halacha of peret and olalos, and so therefore you see over here a Stam Mishnah that is saying like Rabbi Meir that Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa. And the Gemara continues, Reb Yehuda behekdish maihi. We said that there's a Stam Mishnah that follows Reb Yehuda when it comes to hekdish. The Tanan, as we learned in a Mishnah, shilach biad pikeach. Let's say a person sends, this is talking about money of hekdish, he sends it in the hands of somebody who's competent. V'nizkar ad shelo higia etzel chenvani, and then he remembers, he realizes that it's hekdish, and he gives it to the chenvani. So in that situation, chenvani moal, it's the storekeeper who commits the me'ilah, because the other person, it's not shogeg, it's only shogeg for the chenvani. And generally speaking, Me'ila is by Shogeg, so therefore Chenvani Mo'al Keshayotzi, when the Chenvani spends the money, that's considered to be Me'ila, and so therefore you see in this situation, you're talking about Mo's Hekdish that are spent b'Shogeg, and you see that by this money there is a halach of Me'ila, that's like Reb Yehuda. But the Gemara continues, Reb Yehuda b'Meiser Milo Tanan, but do we not have any Mishnayos that follow Reb Yehuda by Meiser Sheni? Don't we have Mishnayos that show that Meiser Sheni is Mammon Hedyot? V'Atanan, but we learned in a Mishnah, Hapoder Meiser Sheni Shalo, if somebody redeems his own Meiser Sheni, Mosif Olav Chamish Shiso, so he has to add a fifth, Bein Mishalo, Bein Shenit and Lo b'Matana, whether it's his own Meiser Sheni, or whether it was given to him as a gift. And so the Gemara says, money. Now, who's the author of this Mishnah? Elamer Rabbi Meir, if you're going to say it's Rabbi Meir, Mi Matzi Yoiv Levi Matana, can Meiser Sheni be given over as a gift? Ve'amar Meiser Mammon Gavoa, but Rabbi Meir is the one who says that Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa. Elalav Rabbi Yehuda, rather is it not? This Mishnah follows Rabbi Yehuda, so you see there's a Stam Mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to Meiser Sheni, that Meiser Sheni is Mammon Hedyot. And the Gemara says to that, Lo, no, Liolam Rabbi Meir. It could be really that this Mishnah is following Rabbi Meir. But here, what is the case? The case over here, when we're talking about the Meiser Sheni was given to him as a gift, it wasn't given to him as Meiser Sheni as a gift. It was given to him as Tevel as a gift. The Kasavar and Rabbi Meir holds matana shelo hurmu. If you have matanas where you didn't take off the meiser yet, like in this case it's tevel, kimi shelo hurmu damian, that's considered like it was not taken off. It does not have the status yet of meiser sheni. Therefore, it doesn't have the status yet of mammon gavoa. That's why it's able to be given over as a gift. And Rashi explains, Beis Hillel de medamu Keren Ravoy lemeiser. Again, according to Beis Hillel, they compare Keren Ravoy to Meiser Sheni. Keman svirlu b'meiser linyan mammon gavoa mammon hedyot. So what do they hold in terms of Meiser Sheni? Do they hold it's mammon gavoa or mammon hedyot? And the Gemara then said, Elalav Rabbi Meir, it has to be that Beis Hillel follow Rabbi Meir, that it's Mammon Gavoa, that's why there's no din of peret and olalos. Beis Hillel kistam mishnah choshev l'hu da'alacha kamosin. Beis Hillel is the equivalent of a stam mishnah, and so therefore we see a stam mishnah like Rabbi Meir, that Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa. And then the Gemara said, Rabbi Yehuda behekdish mahi, where do we see a stam mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to hekdish? Meaning, heichon tanan, where do we see a stam mishnah that says, b'shogeg mischalo, that if a person uses the money of hekdish b'shogeg, it's mischalo, and b'mezid ain't mischal. If he uses that money of hekdesh b'mezid, it's not mischal. And that the Gemara brought the Mishnah which says shilach biad pikeach reisha hachi tanan. The beginning of this Mishnah is as follows: shilach biad cheresh shota v'katan. Let's say a person sends the money of hekdesh with a cheresh shota v'katan, meaning somebody without das, a deaf mute, an imbecile, or a minor. Asu shlichusan, if they do what they're told to do, so gizbor mal. So the gizbor, the treasurer who sent them with the money, he committed the me'ilah. Lo asu shlichusan. Now, if they didn't do what they were told to do, so lo mal, so it's not me'ilah. Now, shilach biad pikeach, let's say he sends it in the hands of a competent person. V'nizkar at shelo higia etzel chenvani, the person remembers before he gets to the chenvani. V'ukmin and hasam keshehus kurushneim, they both remember. Gizbor ushliach, meaning the treasurer remembers, he realizes it's money of hekdesh. Also the shliach, he also remembers. So then in that case, who's the shogeg? It's the chenvani. Chenvani mo'al keshayotzi. So the chenvani, he will have committed me'ilah when he spends it. The shkoga gabei isa, because the shkoga is by him, it's a mistake by him. Aval hani mezidin inu, the other individuals, they all really did it on purpose. They remembered. V'lo mechayvi meila, therefore they're not chay from meila. Meila is b'shogeg. Al mashogeg mischalel mezid ein mischal. And you see from here that b'shogeg it's mischalel. That's considered the meila. That goes l'chulin. And b'mezid is not mischalel. And so you see from here a stam mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to hektish. But then the Gemara said, don't we see a stam mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to Meiser Sheni, that it is considered Mammon Hediot, Mishalo, again, Shehifrish, Mikiryo. So then it said, if it's his own Meiser Sheni, or Bein Shanitan Lo B'Matana, or whether it was given to him as a Matana, in both situations, the Mishnah says you have to add a fifth. Kasal Kadaitach Lachar Shehifrish. Now, right now, we think the Meiser Sheni was given as a gift after the Meiser Sheni was separated. Nitan Lo, then it was given to him. V'Katani Mosef Chomesh, and it says you have to add a fifth. The Shalohu, because it's considered his. The Karinan Beim Gol Yigali Yishmi Masro, it's considered redeeming your own Meiser Sheni, and he has to add a fifth. But Mammon Gavoa, but if it's following Rabbi Meir, it's Mammon Gavoa, can't be given as a gift. V'lo Matzi Yoevle, can't give it to him. V'avalei Zeh Shenitan Lo Kilo Eino Shalo, the person who it was given to, it's not like it's his. Ve'ein Mosef Chomesh Ala Bailim, and so therefore in such a situation, you don't add a fifth, only the owner adds a fifth. To Lo Karina Be'mi Masro, it's not called Mi Masro. And the Gemara then said, no, really it's following the Shita of Rabbi Meir, but the case is it was given as Tevel. Now there are those that say that even when you haven't yet separated the Meiser Sheni, it's as if it's separated, but Rabbi Meir doesn't hold like that. But he holds that's not true. If you haven't taken off the Meiser Sheni, Lav Mammon Gavoa, it's not Mammon Gavoa yet, the Ein Shem Meiser Olav L'Klum, it's not yet considered to be Meiser Sheni at that point in time, and so therefore it could be following Rabbi Meir, and it's still possible to give it over as a gift. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, coming here a proof, and this is from a Mishnah in Meiser Sheni. Hapoda neta revoy shalo, if somebody redeems his own neta revoy, again, that's the fourth year fruit. Mosef olav chamishi, so he adds a fifth. Bein mishalo, whether it's his. Bein shanitan lo b'matana, whether it was given to him as a gift. So again, it's the same kind of proof. Money, so who's the author of this Mishnah? Ilema Rabbi Meir, if you're going to say the Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, mimotzi yoiv le, is it possible to give it as a gift? V'hagamri kodesh kodesh mimaiser, again, we learned out of Gzer Shava kodesh kodesh from Meiser Sheni. Neta revoy should be the same as Meiser Sheni. And again, according to Rabbi Meir, Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa, so it can't be given as a gift, and the same thing should be true by Neta Revoy. Elalav, Rabbi Yehuda, rather is it not? This Mishnah follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Meiser Sheni is Mammon Hediot. The Gemara says not necessarily Liolam Rabbi Meir. It could be this Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. V'hacha b'mayaskinan. But here, what's the case? How was it that he was given the Neta Revoy? If again Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa, so this should be considered Mammon Gavoa. Kegon du Yoev Kishus Mother. The answer is it was given over when it was still a fruit bud. At that point in time, it's not yet considered to be Neta Revoy. It doesn't have that status of Mammon Gavoa. Udalok Rabbi Yossi. This would not follow the sheet of Rabbi Yossi. Damar Smother Osram Ibnei Shupri. He says that even when it's a fruit bud, it's considered to be prohibited because it's considered to be the same as a fruit. That would not be the case according to Rabbi Meir. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, coming here, another proof in terms of Stam Mishnah, in terms of Meiser Sheni. The Mishnah says, Mosha Chemenu Meiser Besela. Let's say a person does a Kinyan Meshicha, he's buying Meiser Sheni, he does the Kinyan Meshicha on the Meiser Sheni, and at the point in time he does a Kinyan, it's worth a Sela. Velo Hispik Liftosa, but he doesn't get a chance to actually give the money until it's worth 2 Sloim. So the Mishnah says, no Saint Sela, he just gives 1 Sela, Umistaker Besela, he's actually going to profit a Sela, he won't have to pay 2, because he already made the Kinyan through Meshicha. Meiser Sheni Shalo, and the Meiser Sheni is now going to be his. He has now purchased the Meiser Sheni. And so who's the author of this Stam Mishnah? Money, who is it? Ilema Rabbi Meir, if you're going to say it's Rabbi Meir. So Amai Mistaker Besela, why does he gain a Sela? Why is it a Kinyan Meshicha? According to Rabbi Meir, Meiser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa. It should be treated like Hektish. There is no Kinyan Meshicha there. There, V'nosan Esakesa V'kamlo, when it comes to Hektish, it says you give the money, and through the money is the Kinyan. Amar Achmona, that's what the Pasuk says. So according to Rabbi Meir, it wouldn't be a Kinyan Meshicha. It would be a Kinyan through the Kesef, a Kinyan through the giving of the money. Elolav, Rabbi Yehuda, rather is it not? This Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, and since the Meiser Sheni is Mammon Hediot, that's why the Kinyan is a Meshicha. And the Gemara says, Liolam Rabbi Yehuda, you're right, really this Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. There is a Stam Mishnah that follows Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to Meiser Sheni. The Meiser Sheni is Mammon Hediot. However, V'hacha Chad, but here it's only one time that it's a Stam Mishnah. V'hacha Trei Stami, but there were 2 Stam Mishnayos that were like Rabbi Meir, and that's why we follow Rabbi Meir. But the Gemara says, Vistama dafka mali chad stama mali tre stame. But if you're going by the Stam Mishnah, what's the difference if it's one Stam Mishnah or two Stam Mishnahs? And so the Gemara instead says, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, Halacha Rabbi Meir. The reason why the halacha is like Rabbi Meir, it's because the Mishnah in the choice Mesechet is like him, meaning to say it's in Meseches Edius. If the Stam Mishnah is in Edius like Rabbi Meir, that shows the halacha is like Rabbi Meir. And Rashi explains, Liolam Rabbi Yehuda, really this Mishnah does follow Rabbi Yehuda. V'achachad stama v'hasam trei stama, it's one Stam Mishnah against two Stam Mishnayis. Rabbi Meir sasam lon trei zimnei, meaning according to Rabbi Meir we have two Stam Mishnayis. B'shtei mekomos tana Revi Mishnah zu de Kerem Ravoi. There were two times that we see this Mishnah of Kerem Ravoi, which follows Rabbi Meir. Chader b'Seder Zraim, one time it's mentioned in Seder Zraim in Meseches Meiser Sheni. V'chader be'Edius, and one time in Edius. Hachi Garsinan, and the proper text of the Gemara is Vistama dafka mali chad stama. But again, if you're following the Stam Mishnah, what's the difference if it's one or two? And the Gemara finally answered, Holo tanan bevichirsa kivase. Meseches Edios kari bechirsa. Meseches Edios is called bechirsa, that's the choice one. Shekol devreim heidu mipi agadolim v'halacha kamosan, because everything, all of the words in the Mesechet, it's testimony from the great individuals, and the halacha follows them. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Hey Amud Aleph.